This is a story about the money that wanted to help people. It dreamt of financing an education, taking a family on a much-needed vacation, or simply doing something wonderful at home. So one day, it offered itself to the world at some very friendly rates, not to mention some very flexible terms. Soon the money was hard at work, doing the one thing it liked doing most of all, making dreams come true. Community Bank. Bank happy.
Just as a plant needs water to grow, so a business needs cash to grow, often from bank loans. But many small businesses struggle or even fail because the large banks are reluctant to work for a relatively small return. After all, it is much more efficient for the bank to supply large amounts of ongoing credit to a few big businesses rather than bother with lots of little firms needing relatively small loans. In order to provide much-needed credit to small local firms, what are needed are small local banks. The local bank develops personal relationships and supplies credit to local firms, helping them to grow. The local economy thrives and the local community flourishes, making the national economy more robust and sustainable.
Now, public health and clean water are pretty self-explanatory, but what about community banks? How do they contribute to development? The truth is that community banks are not just important to our sustainable development efforts, but essential. Let me illustrate this with an example. Imagine you're trying to pay for college. It's expensive, so expensive that you can't afford it on your own. Fortunately, your parents start a savings account or college fund, you get student loans and scholarships, and you've even got a rich Uncle Eddie who decides to invest in your future. So suddenly, paying for college is within reach. Now, upper-class members of the developing world have access to savings, loans, and rich uncles too, making long-term investments like paying for college possible for them. But members of poorer or under-resourced communities, like where we work, rarely have access to financial services like savings and loans, let alone rich uncles. This makes it hard for them to invest in important things like education, health, and enterprise. Enter the community bank. Community banks are institutions that allow community members to save, to borrow, and to make investments in job-creating businesses. These organizations are run by the community, for the community, using the community's money. Here's how a community bank works. It begins with the foundation of governance. In-country staff and local leaders decide their community is ready for a community bank. They then set up bank governance, accounting practices, and classes on financial literacy for members of the community. This foundation of governance ensures that the bank is truly owned by the community. Community banks are responsible for the day-to-day management of their money, and our role as Global Brigades is to provide the seed capital they need to get started, which they then pay back so that we can reinvest these funds in other community banks in the future. On top of this foundation of governance, the bank builds its savings program. This allows members of the community to deposit money in a safe place and save for long-term investments. Depending upon the community and bank structure, sometimes members form into savings circles, other times they save individually. In some cases, saving at the bank makes one a partial owner, like in a co-op. Member savings in some Global Brigades funds are used to start the bank's loan program. This allows local entrepreneurs to take out loans to start businesses, which contributes to the local economy. To make this possible, students on microfinance brigades work with our staff to help community members with the process of creating savings accounts and learning the best ways to manage them through financial literacy workshops. Communities also have the option of providing loans to new Global Brigades health projects so that the health and wellness of the community can continue to improve when volunteers are not there. Profits from the loans are reinvested in the bank, making the bank itself a sustainable enterprise. Community banks are at the center of Global Brigade's holistic model of developing. What is created is a virtuous cycle where savings and loans contribute to the community's well-being. Savings allow members to weather an unforeseen hospital bill or make a needed investment, and loans allow members to grow their businesses and pull together funds to finance Global Brigade's projects. As a member of Global Brigades, you're already part of this story.